Welcome to Pathways to Greatness, the show where faith meets focus and potential becomes purpose. I'm your host, Jeff Forrester, mental performance coach, speaker, and believer that greatness begins within. Each episode, we'll uncover the biblical principles, mindset strategies, and daily disciplines that help student athletes, parents, and leaders just like you walk boldly in their calling. Let's step onto the path that leads to true greatness, God's way. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Pathways to Greatness podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Forrester, and today's episode is a great one. And this is with Justin Milford. And like so many of my guests, I just found him on Instagram, and we connected through like-minded individuals at 3 of 7 Project. He's a big participant over there in that community. And it's a wonderful community with rights and chili and cornbread and all of them. And if you listen to this show, you're probably very familiar with 3 of 7 Project. But Justin has just had a really interesting story. I connected with him, started watching his reels, really just kind of like most people on social media, just watching from afar. And then recently, he's just been posting more about a lot of his challenges with his addiction, and the fact that as when we record this today, he's 19 days clean and sober, which is fantastic. And as he says, it doesn't sound like much, but it's a lot. And honestly, if you've been challenged with any kind of very difficult habits are hard to break. And he's doing everything that he needs to do to protect his mind, to protect his spirit and his body, but then also to protect his family. And so he shares so many great things in this. And so I don't want to steal anything from the show and the episode. So I want you to go in there and listen to it multiple times, because Justin has a great show or a great story to share on the show. And then also follow him on Instagram if you can, because he does share good things on a pretty regular basis. So with that being said, Justin Milford. Oh, yeah. Justin, welcome to the show, man. I really appreciate you hopping on today.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. It's an honor to be here.
Yep. And it was short notice. So if you follow Justin at all on Instagram, give out your handle right off the bat, because I think people need to find and follow you.
It's just Justin Milford 24 on Instagram. Yep.
Yep. So I literally had seen, just like so many of my guests, Justin, I find on Instagram, and I, like you, I just try to follow whatever nudge the Holy Spirit's providing. And it was, hey, he's got a story. You've been watching his stories. Why don't you see if he wants to come on? And I reached out, and very promptly you said yes. And then the balancing the schedule started to come out, but we got it figured out pretty quick.
Yeah, man, we got it knocked out quick. I think we both had, you were at your daughter's volleyball tournament, and I was at my daughter's softball tournament, and we got it knocked out quick. I think it was just meant to be. So
yeah, there it is. For sure. Well, Justin, I don't know how many episodes or if you've listened to any episodes, since it was such a fast turnaround, but I always start these out with questions, and I wanted to change the questions up because I have done the same questions over and over. So with the questions, are you ready?
100%. Yeah.
Oh, okay, perfect. These are lighthearted. So what's something you believe now that you didn't believe 10 years ago?
That there is a spiritual warfare going on, and we are all involved. And if we don't get ourselves straight, we're going to be in big trouble for a long time.
I would not disagree with you at all. And it's funny when you start to think of different things, you think things just happen. Like, oh, it's just bad luck. And if you really start to strip it down, it's attacks for sure.
100%. Yep.
Okay. So the second question, what's one item on your bucket list that you still hope to accomplish?
I want to go and run a training mission as an instructor with the 3 of 7 Project. It's specifically the ROP mission, the ROP course.
Okay. Why so?
At that course, I got saved on that course. So I received the gift of salvation on that course. I did not ask for Jesus to come into my heart, but it happened at about, I think it was 2 or 3 a.m. July 19th, oddly enough, which is my wife and I's anniversary. And I was struggling really, really hard. So I was the weak link, and I'm not going to divulge too much, but I had to go up to the front of the line, and Chad said like four simple words to me. After screaming at the whole team, because Chad's a crazy Navy SEAL, but a very loving person. He said, "I love you, brother. You're keeping the standard. Keep moving." And I didn't realize it at the time, but a couple of days later, it had set in that what that man said to me in that moment is what Jesus used to come into my heart. And I knew when I was cleaning my truck out that I had been saved. And so that's why I want to go and be an instructor on one of their ROP courses.
That's powerful. Give the audience just the really super basic description of what the ROP course is, because it's no joke. It's not just like a random thing. It's legit.
This is no joke at all, man. They try to downsell it, but it is a 24-hour constant forward motion hike through the mountains of Northwest Georgia. You are not allowed to sit down. You are not allowed to stop. You have to work as a team in concert, and you have to come together with all of the different things that they throw at you while this 24-hour period is happening. And you have to get outside of yourself and help your teammate. You have to learn that your needs do not matter as much as your teammates' needs. So if you see somebody that's really struggling with their pack or something like that, you need to step in and take their pack from them. Or, if you know that somebody's not eating or drinking, you need to remind them, hey, you've got to eat or drink. And if they're if they don't necessarily want to listen to you, you've got to kind of coerce them into doing so. It's a very labor intensive course because you have to stay up for 24 hours straight and constantly move, but it is also very mentally taxing because Chad is a Navy SEAL and they do use some extreme mental warfare tactics on you when you are extremely tired that will try to break you down. But they don't try to make you quit. But if you don't go in there with the right mindset, you'll quit.
Why do you think physical exhaustion and suffering really strips people away from all the masks, all the fake, attitude, all of that? What do you think creates that real, true authenticity when you're just spent?
Because we're so used to being able to step away from discomfort. We're so used to be able, like when we get tired, we can just go sit down. When we get hungry or whatever, we get thirsty, we can just get something to drink, and everything's available to us all the time. Now, if you don't prepare properly for that course and make sure that you have the things that you need and your teammates are not taking care of you, you can find yourself in a real tough situation really, really fast. And so yeah, it's the combination of those things, the mental warfare and the physical. We just like to live in comfort as Americans, and that is why it is so difficult. And it's also very difficult to work with a bunch of people that you don't know from all across the country with a bunch of different, attitudes, backgrounds. Some people think they're going to come and just crush it no matter what. And some people think they're going to come and, they always state what their goal is before they start the course. Like, I'm going to learn how to do this thing out here. And 9 times out of 10, it's not what they expected at all. So I just, that's why it's so tough to me. I hope that made sense.
Yeah, it did. What kind of element do you feel that you could bring as an instructor, which is what really creates that desire to be a bucket list thing to want to be an instructor?
Just what I've learned over the past several years of refusing to quit when life gets hard. And I've made life very hard on myself. That's just the fact. Um, but without that training, that training specifically, I would have not been able to endure what I have put myself and my family through over the past, 6 years, but really over the past 3 to 4 years. I put my family through a lot of pain. And so I feel like I am maybe not uniquely qualified, but I'm very qualified to um, give my experience, strength, and hope when somebody is at their darkest moment to help them keep going. So that's why.
Yep. I agree, because then you can relate. And that's what's so difficult, and why people like Chad do have the following, because he's done hard things. He's been through difficult situations like Navy SEAL training. So therefore people give him another layer of credibility, just like you. And we'll get into your testimony later, is that you've been through really difficult things, which qualifies you to be able to share how other people can navigate through. Everybody's story is unique and different. However, the things that you've managed to use and the tactics you've used can work with anybody, no matter what their challenge is.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Being patient, present, and deliberate in your life, that can be applied to every aspect of everyone's life across the board. I don't care who you are. Um, and I have not only done the ROP course with Chad, but I did the basic course with Chad, and I went to the basic course with this mindset of I'm going to be completely selfless on this basic course, right? But what ended up happening, and this is like, you have to take care of yourself first before you can take care of anybody else. Like, what ended up happening on the basic course is that I had taken care of this person for so long, all day and all night, getting up to the top of this mountain that we were trying to get to, that I became hypothermic, and um, I was dying because I refused to put my rain gear on when it started raining. I was more worried about my teammate, but I didn't have myself squared away. So I had to get myself. That's a big thing I learned too. Is like, you have to have yourself squared away before you can help anybody. Like, and so that was huge for me to learn on the basic course.
Yeah, that's powerful. And we forget that, especially as parents, as husbands, as just people that are selfless. We always put other people before us, and then we create more of a problem, because now that person's still struggling, and now we've taken ourselves out of the fight. So that's a really good observation. What team number were you for the basic course?
I was what team member? I was
Number, like
LP.
your team
Oh,
number.
team 28.
Okay, I was team 8. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah,
one of the first.
yeah. I was team 28, and I was LPO for the first. I'll never forget it. Chad said you went from LPO to liability by the time we got to the top of the mountain up there.
I'm sure if you asked
But
him, I was a liability from the start to finish. So
man, but you know what? That man is so awesome. I saw him. I've never seen this much patience in my life, Jeff. It was pouring down rain at the top of that mountain. It was freezing cold. And of course, he had a way to start a fire other than using a ferro rod and, some Vaseline and some tinder. But that man sat there and in the pouring rain just showed such great patience and started a fire with a ferro rod, with some Vaseline and a little bit of tinder. And it just amazed me the amount of patience that took. He must have struck that ferro rod 5,000 times because it was literally pouring down rain. But he got the job done, and he got us a fire started. And then he was able to get me, a rewarming drill. So I got in the tent, and they put they put some hot water in an Algene bottle and a sleeping bag, and got me a rewarming drill because I was hypothermic, man. So that dude saved my life. It was awesome.
lessons he didn't prepare to teach on that course.
That's right.
You'll never forget them. That's for sure.
No, man, I'll never forget. Even though the whole time I've never done a course sober with them, I will never forget the lessons that I learned. And I think that God has graced me with that. I don't- I I remember everything from those courses, even though I was on prescription drugs, like, and abusing them heavily every single time. Um, but I remember everything from each one of the courses I've done with them. So that's it. It's just a special. The 307 project is such a special um, team. The whole project is amazing, and as you can see, it's a big part of my life.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And just the community that they build of like-minded people is so important and special. You know, a lot of my friends that I have still to this day were friends that I built through just this little, simple social network. It's because I first heard, not that this is a whole Chad podcast, but might as well share it, is I heard him for the first time on his name just Marcus Luttrell's podcast, Team
Yep.
Never Quit, right before Chad did his first Bob's Backyard Ultra. And I think when I found him on Instagram, I started an Instagram account to follow those guys and to follow Chad. I think he had like 400 followers. And it's just
Yeah.
neat to see how everything has really developed and blossomed, not just from the community as a whole, but him with his faith and being willing to share. And because I remember early on, like he wouldn't share, the book, the chapter and the verse. He just, put it up as a quote. And then to see him really become, super bold in his faith and unapologetic has been really cool to see. And it's influenced, people like you and me to do the same thing. So it's a wonderful group of people. His family's wonderful and it's fantastic.
Yeah, there's nothing else like it anywhere. I don't care who you go train with. There's nothing else like it. And it's just, you can feel it when you're there, and you take it home with you when you leave, and you're able to bring everything that you learn back to your home, and it just make you better people. So, but yeah, we don't have to do the whole podcast on them, but I've learned so much from them, and not just Chad, Chili, Blake, Cornbread baptized me,
Oh, that's
like,
right.
oh yeah, and Cornbread is an amazing man. That dude right there is the real deal. All of those guys are squared away, and has been like Brooke has been really loving and caring for me after me making the biggest mistake I've ever made in my life. And Chad's mom has been really loving and caring towards me, and they've been, quite honestly, Jeff, they have been more of a family to me than my own family has. And I'm not trying to bash my family, but because I'm hard to deal with, but they have been more of a family to me over the past few years than my own family has. And that's changing now since I've got clean this time. But yeah, they're just really squared away people. And I would
Yeah.
encourage everyone to go and sign up and train with them.
Yeah, that's epic. Okay, so what's one OCD thing that you have that drives your family crazy?
Me wanting to, they call it lecturing. I don't get it. They say I'm lecturing them all the time, and they say I think I know everything. I think that's what it is. Like, I want you to listen to the things that I've learned. And a lot of times I guess I don't quite come off the right way, and I'm trying to learn how to do that better. But that would be the OCD thing. I think I would like my family to listen to me a little bit more. But I think I've kind of taken myself out of that position due to the state that I've been in for so long. Who's going to listen to somebody they can see me screwing my life up and their life as well. I think I was expecting too much of them to listen to me.
Yeah. Okay. All right. The last one, this may be the most difficult and controversial one that I ask. So, would you rather have pizza or tacos?
Tacos.
Do you have a type of taco that you like?
Oh man, I love all tacos, but I really love like the authentic street tacos. I love. We live close to Gainesville, Georgia, which is there's a whole big Mexican community in Gainesville, Georgia, and you can get like authentic Mexican food. So I really love the authentic Mexican tacos, even beef tongue lengua tacos with just the cilantro and onion and the like chimichurri type sauce. That's those are my favorite thing. Between taco and pizza, it's tacos all day.
Yeah, there you go. See, and people know that I have not had anybody waver. I'm like, well, usually it's you're a hard line one way or the other, so it's great.
Yeah.
Well, Justin, thank you again for coming on. Hopefully, this was a good way to get you warmed up and ready for the show. I started Pathways to Greatness now 3-4 years ago. Like time just goes by too fast. Maybe it's been 3 years ago, 4 years ago. You'll be number 178 episodes in a row. So
Wow.
I started it because I wanted to bring people on like yourself to share their story of how they've navigated through life, because everybody has a different but similar definition of greatness. And nobody yet that I've talked to has a similar linear path of point A to B while they're trying to achieve greatness. There's twists and turns, ups and downs. It's just like the basic course or the ROP course. You just don't know what's going to come up. There's a log in front of you. You got to climb over it. Your pack may be heavy. What are you going to unload? Like all of those things just challenge us through life. And ultimately, my goal, I just don't want people to quit. I want them to develop the skill of resilience and perseverance and just keep pressing on. Because even when you think things are, there's no solution, no end, that there will be something that you can do to navigate through that, and you will persevere and get through all of those difficult times. We've all gotten through the most difficult times to date. So with all that being said, I've rambled enough. What would you say your definition of greatness is?
My definition of greatness is becoming a father and husband that my wife and children can look at and rely on and be proud of, and know that no matter what happens around us, no matter what happens in this crazy world that we live in, they know that I am going to take care of them to the best of my ability as long as I'm alive. And now um using my faith and relying on my faith and trusting in Jesus to give me that power to be able to lead my family and guide my family and protect my family. That's my uh, definition of greatness, I guess.
Wonderful. And it's definitely not one that's going to be easy. We talked about earlier about how prevalent spiritual warfare is. And when you have a goal like you have of what greatness looks like, 100% the devil's coming after you every which way that they can and he can. And you almost wish the devil had horns and a pitchfork, because then you could see where he was at and you could see him coming. But he is the most deceptive creature to ever have existed, and he's really good at his job.
Quite the opposite. The devil has come to me, and in drug addiction, through me wanting to feel good, and being able to qualify that, and then also, this is going to be a really heavy one, but the devil came in the form of a smooth talking woman. When I was at a treatment facility at the end of 2024, you know, there was a woman there at the treatment facility who just started talking to me and saying all of the things that I wanted to hear, all the things that I wanted, that just, with lips that drip with honey, I think is what the Bible says. And that's how the devil shows up in your life. I wish he did show up with a pitchfork. But The truth is that the devil is going to show up in your life at your weakest moment. And especially if your heart has been given over to Jesus, the devil's coming for your mind. And that's what happened to me. And I gave in and I took the deal. And I eventually, I developed a relationship with that woman over a 14-day period, while being a married man with 2 kids waiting on me at home. And then after leaving that treatment facility, I made the worst mistake of my life. And I did have an affair, a one-time affair. And without all of this training and without Jesus and without forgiveness, I would have quit almost immediately, because this has been these past almost this year and a half has been the most difficult period of time I've ever experienced in my entire life. I hurt the only woman that I actually love. I broke her heart into a million pieces. I've been with her for almost 23 years. I have 2 daughters. I betrayed them as well. And just the ability not to quit and stay in this is only because of Jesus. And it's also only because of the training that I did receive when I trained with the 307 Project.
Man, I appreciate you sharing that, because we've all encountered something in our life that we regret. Some people say that they don't have regrets, but we have regrets. And it's not because of what it did to us, it's what it did to other people. And so I appreciate you sharing that. And one thing that I've learned through all of my regrets and mistakes that I've made, and this is probably one of the hardest one, is giving yourself grace. Because, and like you said, of using Jesus to understand, not using Jesus, but yeah, using his example of, he loves me no matter what I did and what I do. And so therefore, through repentance, I need to also love me because he loves me. And if I don't love me, I'm going to keep in that perpetual search for finding something that's supposed to bring me comfort, when he's the only one that can bring you comfort.
That's exactly right. And, you asked me, what were my tactics for getting through this in that message you sent me. And my tactics before 19 days ago was using a seemingly, it was a very insidious drug. It's called 7-OH. You can get it at the gas station, and it's gas station heroin. That's not a joke. Like, it's a very serious opioid. And I was turning to that for relief from this war that I had started in my home with my wife. I mean, it was very much an outright war, because I just broke her heart. But instead of leaning on the Bible, leaning on what I already know to be true, I was leaning on a substance to get me through. And it wasn't until I finally had spent all of our money, taking out loans to keep up my habit. I finally, 19 days ago, just surrendered everything and said, okay, I'm going to do a detox. I'm going to get off of this. And since doing that and committing to it and really committing to it, my life has changed. The trajectory of my life and my family's life has gone, like, we were going straight downhill, and now we're skyrocketing up now. But it took complete surrender and trust in Jesus. And that is what I attribute everything to, is Jesus, and the free will to stop putting those things in my mind.
You said two things that I know hopefully the audience heard. If not, I'm going to repeat it. And then I really want to get your perspective, because the two things I know most people, including me, have, they either struggle with it or have struggled with it. The first one is complete surrender. So when you talk about complete surrender, help the audience understand in your perspective, what does that mean?
Complete surrender is letting go of this idea that you know you're a good person and things should be going better for you because you've shown in the past that you're a good person and you've done all these good things in the past, and all of, you want credit for the good that you've done in your life. But complete surrender is saying, I didn't do any of that. That was all Jesus. That was all God working on me all of the time. God gave me two children. God gave me a woman for the past 23 years. And for some reason, I was of the mindset that I had done something to deserve that, and which is a complete fallacy. It's just not true. It's only because of Jesus. And that is true surrender. Once you look at your life and you say, okay, my best thinking has made some terrible decisions that hurt a lot of people, the people closest to me, but I now have fully surrendered over my heart and my mind to Jesus. And I understand that He is in control, not me. The only thing that I have is the free will to control what goes in my body, and what I see with my eyes, what I hear with my ears. That's the things that I have control of.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the way you shared that, because it's accepting that we're not powerful enough to do those things on our own. And I know that in your tagline on Instagram, it talks about, it's the Joe Rogan quote. And I had made a post years ago about be the hero of your own story. And I know exactly where you're coming from with that statement. I did have somebody reach out and say, well, you can't be the hero of your own story. Jesus needs to be the hero of your story, which he does. And he is truly the only hero of any of our stories. What, but to you, and I can share what I meant when I shared that, what does that phrase mean to you that would give someone else hope?
It means literally to make the choice that Jesus would make. When you're faced with the devil being the hero of your own story, Cat Williams said this recently on Theo Vaughn. He said, Theo Vaughn asked him, um, have you ever had trouble with having God in your life? And when you were in these moments where you were being potentially compromised by Hollywood, Cat Williams, he says, I didn't leave it up to me. I left it up to Jesus. I'm going to be the hero of my story. That's the way he described it. So being the hero of your story is doing what Jesus would do when you're faced with things that are going to destroy you as a man.
Yeah, and that's exactly the perspective that I had, is that I was proud of the changes that I made. They weren't
Yeah.
because of me, it was because I allowed Jesus to do the work that he wanted to do and that I needed him to do. And so I was proud of me for doing that, knowing
Yeah.
that there's no way I could have done it on my own. And so, and I understood where someone's perspective was, and I appreciated his feedback, and I gave us a really good opportunity to have a conversation like this. But we can't also sell ourselves short for dropping to our knees and just giving over to Christ. Did you watch the Chosen series at all?
I haven't watched the series, but I like to watch a lot of the shorts and the clips that come across my feed
So
on YouTube.
you need to watch the series. So
I will.
there's many moments in that movie or in the series that just will bring you to tears. The way Dallas Jenkins portrays all the different characters within, or the real people, not just TV characters, it's just powerful. And there's two scenes that I think would resonate with you, and I'll just go ahead and plant the seed. One is when he sees Mary and he Magdalene, and he accepts her, and he's like, I know who you are, and she just loses it. And then and it started to get me emotional thinking about it. And then the other scene was when he calls Peter to just be fisher of men, and he just drops to his knees and just gives everything over. I mean, he walks away from everything to follow this man that everybody else thought was crazy. And it's just powerful. To me, that's complete surrender. And that's also being the hero in your story, because you're willing to allow someone else to be bigger than you, which is not an easy thing to do these days.
It's not. Our egos, our egos are of the devil. I mean, that's the problem. When we start thinking that we're in control, that we're in big trouble. I don't care if you're a pastor. I don't care if you've been saved your entire life. As soon as you start thinking that you're in control of this thing, you better watch out, because it's coming. It's coming for you.
Yeah.
And that's how the devil works, and God allows that to test our faith. God allows us to be tested on purpose, and like I love that scene. I've watched that scene that you're talking about when he meets Mary at the well and starts talking about all of her husbands, or what you're talking about, that one, right?
No, like right at the very beginning. So it's when Mary Magdalene, who was a prostitute, and she was a drunkard, and she was hiding her face and everything, and he sees her in the crowd and comes up to her. Dude, I'm telling you, man, it's so good.
Yeah. I gotta watch that.
If you don't have tears in your eyes in that moment, then I'm not sure. You're a bigger man than me, but I'm a crier anyways. So.
I'm a crier too. I'm a big time crier.
If you've talked to Cornbread, it's like he starts and then I start. I'm like, dude, we're not a good crew to have together, because all we're gonna do is cry the whole time. But it's because you watch it and it's just beautiful, and it's to hear your story. It's beautiful because it's a story of redemption and salvation, and it's possible for all of us. And you can't do good, like you said earlier, do good enough to get you to heaven. It's like you have to have complete surrender. And it's the parable of, or the story of the rich man, of where he came to the rich young ruler, came to Jesus. He's like, look, I've done all these things. I've checked all these boxes. I've followed all the rules. Now what do I do? He's like, well, he's going to test your heart. He's like, sell everything you have and follow me. And he's like, well, I'm not sure if that's exactly what I want to do. So maybe all this other stuff will be good enough. But it's like Jesus knows our heart, and he knows we're going to mess up time and time again. And it's just the heart of just saying, look, I don't want to mess up. And then you just keep doing the things that you want to do to get you out of that hole. It's the reprobate heart that you just do it, and then you do it again. You're like, oh, I'll just ask for forgiveness. It's okay. But that's not how it works.
That's not how it works at all. And the thing is, my heart has always been in the right place. Like the old saying, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. That's me. My heart has always been in the right place, but for some reason, when tested, like in my weakest moments, when I put myself in a position to be in a really weak moment, I've made the wrong decision. Because before this last time, I hadn't decided to say, okay, I'm going to sell everything I got. You can have everything. And if I needed to do that today, I would literally sell everything that I have and walk away from everything. That's how strong my faith is. And I'm not trying I'm not trying to brag or anything like that, but my faith is unwavering. Everything in my life is because of Jesus. Even, sometimes I feel like some of this stuff, maybe I don't want to say that, but I wouldn't be the man I am today had I not made the mistakes that I made.
Well, I would even add that learned from the mistakes that you made, because so many people make similar mistakes And I know, we've all made, again, tremendous mistakes in our lives. We've learned or learning, not learned, because
Yeah.
we don't have it all figured out, but we're learning how to navigate those mistakes better. And so they become fewer and fewer, and then they just become different. And
Yep.
it's just a change.
Yep. Just a change. And right now, man, I feel so good. Like being 19 days clean. I know it doesn't seem like a lot for people listening to this, but 19 days clean for me and this new perspective that I have. And after going through all of this stuff that I hadn't experienced before, like I can face anything now. I can literally face anything. My wife and I can face anything. There's only one thing right now for the rest of our lives that might break us for a period of time, and that would be losing one of our children. You know what I mean? But beyond that, there is nothing on this earth that I cannot overcome because of the things that I have put myself through, that God has put me through, and the just willingness to repent and admit that I've been wrong. I've been a wretched human being, and also to share my story with other people and let them know that, hey, don't quit. Do not give up. Like, by all means, I shouldn't be married right now. My family, my parents wanted my wife to divorce me. Like, it just, and I shouldn't have anything that I do right now. It's just because I refuse to quit and I have an unwavering faith. And that's why I'm still here doing this podcast with you today.
Amen. And when you were talking, I thought of, most people would immediately go to Philippians 4:13, and they, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I had a guest on, Katie Hill, and he's awesome, by the way. But so he was on his way to the NFL. Literally the weekend before NFL Pro Day, he was helping in a delivery truck that hit a tree, pinned his leg. They had to amputate his leg into the truck. So
No.
his hopes and dreams gone in an instant. And here's a guy,
Yeah.
when you see him, just follow him, go on Instagram, KD Hill. I mean, he's a massive of a man, but just oozes God. And to hear his perspective, so we hear again Philippians 4:13. Well, on his prosthetic leg, he has Philippians 4:12. And so Philippians 4:12 is, I know how to be brought low and I know how to abound in any and every circumstance. I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance, and need. I'm like, holy smokes, man. I mean, here's a guy, 23 years old, on his way to the
Wow.
NFL, massive specimen of a human, loses his leg, and he's like, there's nothing. Like you said, there's nothing going to stop me now. And he's like, it's all by the grace of God. And his faith, Justin, it's infectious to listen to what
Yeah.
he has to do, because he could be woe is me. And there's not one person on this planet that would say, well, he doesn't have the right to say woe is me. Man, he is like got a big smile on his face and everything. And so when we had a conversation and he shared that with me, I'll be transparent, as I've probably read that verse a ton of times, but I never really thought about it because we get hung up on the social media memes of 4:13 and Philippians 4:13 of how powerful that verse really is. You got to give it context. As Paul's like, man, I've been through it all. Like you said, his word, I'm a wretched sinner. I mean, he was murdering Christians, for Pete's sake. And he then said, I had it all and I've had nothing. And here I am. I know because of all of this, I'm still here today. I can get through it with Christ. And he had joy.
Yeah. Yeah. Being in prison. Yeah.
Yeah. In the basement of a, early century AD prison. That was not probably a pretty place to be, in the basement of a prison.
No, and he chose to go
times.
there.
Yeah.
He chose to go there. He's like, I didn't have to do this. I'm here. Yeah, he chose to be in that position.
Yeah. And then the gate swung open and he's like, no, I'm still here. Don't kill yourself. We're here. And they're like, what? You didn't even run away? And it's those stories that now that I've matured in my faith is that I just get so much out of that. It's like if he can sing praises to Jesus in the basement of a prison,
Yeah.
I can do it if somebody like you've said that's throwing shade to you on Instagram, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm worried about that when here are these guys facing tigers and lions and being beheaded. I mean, come on, really? It's perspective.
Yeah, yeah, big time. Yeah, I'm gonna follow that kid
Oh man, I'm telling you,
on
Justin,
Instagram.
he will fire
That's an
you up.
amazing story.
He's awesome. So the second thing, I know I told you I had two things. So one was complete surrender. The other thing that I know, one, that's hard enough in and of itself. But the second thing that you stated was around full commitment to moving away from that. And there's so many people, regardless of it, if it's drugs, alcohol, pornography, food, exercise, podcast, whatever you're using to escape your reality, it's difficult to break those habits. So
Yep.
help the audience understand what really that meant to you to say that I'm fully committed to changing my life. And then what are some of the things that you've done tactically to help you that can help other people?
I'm fully committed to changing my life, like I said earlier, for the betterment of the people who depend on me. They are what matters. My teammates, essentially. My teammates are what matters. I'm not trying to get myself to heaven. I am trying to get my wife and children to Christ. That's what I am trying to do. And I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there. If you could kind of.
Yeah, we were just talking about being fully committed. And, what I got out of the first part is what's great is it's not for selfish reasons. Like you have your team that you've decided to make this change and you're fully committed to it, not because it's for you, but it's for them.
Right. And so the biggest part of that is protecting my mind from the evils of this world, like pornography. I was addicted to pornography for 20 years, and I haven't looked at it at all in almost a year. I don't touch it because I know that is absolutely of the devil, and it will make you think that things are okay that are not okay, period. So part that's part of my full commitment. I will not touch things like that today. I will guard my heart when I go to these meetings, these 12-step meetings. There's people there that are going to look at me and they're going to want to, like women, they're going to want to try to talk to me and things like that. Like I'm going to guard my heart at all cost for my family, for my teammates. And I'm also going to fully commit to taking care of my body. I'm going to make sure that I hike Yona. I'm not going to do it like I used to. I used to hike Yona. Cornbread calls me the king of Mount Yona. I used to addictively hike Mount Yona like every single day. I've hiked Yona 400 times over the past 4 years. I'm not going to allow myself to be controlled by my physical fitness, but I am going to take care of this body. And that's part of that full commitment. And there's a ton of other things. I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. That's been a big problem with myself in the past. I've said I'm going to be somewhere, and I just didn't feel like it, and I didn't show up, and I made an excuse for it. Another part of full commitment. This is a good example. I woke up this morning, and I used to wake up like this a lot, but I woke up this morning with a knot in my stomach, and I just didn't. I just felt bad. And normally, in the past, I would have kind of been like, "Oh, I feel bad today," but no. Instead of doing that, I was like, "I'm going to smile and I'm going to rejoice and I'm going to go help my dad." Finish doing this electrical work on this house like I told him I was. And that perspective shift of I'm going to smile when I feel bad, it does. And saying a quick prayer, man, it changed my day. And I'm like, I have nothing to be upset about. have nothing to be upset about. Just because I felt down when I woke up doesn't mean that I need to continue to feel bad for the rest of the day. Trust in Jesus. Don't worry.
Yeah. And that's spiritual
Rejoice.
warfare. Yeah. The devil was going back to what used to work. And he's like, well, this is
Yep.
how I can get Justin. I'll make him wake up and not feel good. And then the rest of the day is mine. And then he's like, whoa, wait a minute. Because we have to remember the devil's not all knowing. He does not know how you will react. He is the king of statistical significance, meaning that I know that I do this, Justin does that, and you have a track record. Then all of a sudden, he's like, wait a minute. Justin just prayed. He just smiled and he did what he told somebody he was going to do. Now I don't like this Justin. This isn't the Justin that, and what's going to be, what's difficult of having gone through some of these things in the past is that he'll start to figure out, okay, well, that old way doesn't work. He's going to start changing his ways. It's just like a virus. It starts to figure out, it's like, okay, well, I couldn't live this way. Well, now I'm going to try these little things. So you'll start getting weird attacks left and right. And you're like, well, okay, wait a minute. I don't normally feel that way, or I don't normally think about those things. And I'll give you a case in point is over recently, I've gotten into this weird negative loop again, but it was around people. And I
Yep.
realized that I was not seeing people through God's eyes.
That's
And it was
huge.
the devil just making little things here and there, like, well, look at them. They look funny, or look at them and look at that, or why would they react like that? Man, they really don't trust you and they don't respect you. And little things, or how in the world would they make that decision? And then you
Yep.
start getting those judgy eyes, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I'm so glad God doesn't look at me that way. And it's difficult, but I started to realize those were attacks that were winning. They were
Yep.
starting to win and create obstacles for me that they were self-imposed. I mean, it was something. So I would just warn you in the audience of when you start feeling really good and you're making great progress, he's going to come like a car through an intersection that you didn't expect. And so we just have to be prepared.
Yeah, 100%. We have to, and I fully expect him to start using my children against me. They're teenage girls, so I fully expect those types of attacks to come because for a long time before I made the mistake that I made, I was daddy, man, and I was their world. So I kind of trying to get ahead of that stuff a little bit, and I'm going to try to start really, really focusing and honing in on my skills as a father. But there was something that you said that was really important about being judgmental of people. And it's also especially for people in the public eye. And while we may think because they're in the public eye that we can say or think certain things about them, you know, like we can say, like I have this book here from Russell Brand, How to Become a Christian in 7 Days. This man, he was a complete hedonist forever in Hollywood, and he has been charged with rape in England. And he has decided to go and face those charges and go on trial because he has put his faith in Jesus. And I know the world is judging him and they're saying, "Oh, well you're just saying that you're a Christian now because you have these rape charges." No, the man is literally going to go and face trial and potentially go to prison at just because he has the faith that Jesus is going to exonerate him. So it's really important, not just the people that we see in our everyday lives, but also the people we see in the public eye. Don't write them off either. They're people too.
Yeah, and it's so important because we tend to, and I know I have in the past, is you put people like that up on a pedestal, and then everybody's aghast when they do something wrong. But it's like, I mean, to know that you're that popular that every mistake that you make is going to be front page news and it's going to be clickbait, that even if it's not what was said, and even if you were found, not guilty afterwards, nobody forgets that. That's going to
Nope.
come and haunt you forever. And that's where you hope that his his acceptance of Christ is real, because regardless of the outcome of the verdict, that he doesn't dismiss Jesus, that Jesus is still Lord, and it just, whatever happens down here happens. Some things are unfortunate, and in the end, that your heart is where it needs to be. And that's what it's difficult. And so I'm glad you brought that up, because there's so many people that they'll judge even when people accept Christ. And I've
Yep.
been there. Justin Bieber's one that you just hold your breath. Like, man, I hope it's true. Like, I really
Yeah.
do. I mean, just because I know what life is like with Jesus, that I just hope everybody that it's accepted of him, that your life's going to be better. But he's tortured. He's a tortured soul under constant spiritual warfare.
Yeah, man. And when you the simple fact of it is, when you accept Jesus into your life is going to get a whole lot harder.
Yeah.
I'm just going to tell you, it's
Yep.
not sunshine and rainbows, buddy. When you put that target on your back, the devil hates that, and he is going to come after you. So
Yeah.
I encourage anyone that has not accepted Jesus into their heart, go ahead and do it, and get into the fight now and start learning what it really means to
Yeah.
keep faith. Yeah.
Yeah, Justin, one thing, and then I'll turn it back over to you, that I wanted to share, because this had a significant impact on my life, which was also part of 3 to 7, is I did my own personal mission statement. And I don't know if you've ever done that. And I use elements of the Navy SEAL creed, which is, you also have the 3 to 7 creed that they have, is having that as a reminder daily. And one of the ways that I reprogrammed how I thought about myself, how I wanted to show up, was through the mission statement. I had it everywhere. I still have it on my here, and I'll read it to you. I have it on my mirror, because I was a big David Goggins fan, that he did the accountability mirror. So that's where I put that. I had it everywhere. And because that's how I wanted people to show up. Because, a while back, if I would have read anyone the mission statement that I have now, they probably were like, yeah, I kind of see elements of that in Jeff's life, but I really don't see that in Jeff's life. And I really do feel, because this is how I've trained my mind, because you talked about that, and I just wanted to reemphasize this to the audience and to you as well, is that it's so important to train your mind. And a lot of those skills, like you, I got from Chad and the rest of the guys. But here's the mission statement that I wrote: is I live a Christ-like centered life focused on loving others. I'm grateful for the abundance I have in every aspect of my life. I maintain a high level of integrity to live as a good example to others and keep promises I make to myself. I will be confident in who I am and what I stand for. And then my Bible verse is Galatians 2:20. And each of those sentences, whether that's a well-crafted mission statement or not, but it was just reminders. And when you talked about you wanted to keep promises that you made to yourself and to others, that's why I just thought, I was like, well, I need to share this, because reading that, it's changed my life. It really has, because it's me believing in what I was given through Christ to write. And now that's who I am.
Yeah, when you say that stuff out loud to yourself every day, multiple times throughout the day, it's gonna force you to live that way, because you know, not because you don't want to be a hypocrite or any, because you really want to genuinely be that person. And when you say that stuff out loud to God and to the world, like, you got to do it, and you got to do
Yeah,
it for yourself,
for sure.
because of yourself, you know. And I just, that's a really powerful mission statement. I am not there yet. I haven't written a mission statement yet. Um, I'm still really figuring out who I am, but I know that my story is important. I know that my story can help a lot of people. And I really, one big thing for me is kind of like, there was a prayer, and I'll bring him up again, but it was Russell Brand when he's talking. It was a prayer he opened up with Tucker Carlson. He said he wanted to look at Tucker Carlson as not somebody that he can gain something from, but as somebody who is a brother in Christ, that he is there with him, just like him, not somebody that he can get something from. And I really, really want to live that way moving forward, because a lot of my life has been me wanting to get something from somebody else. And I made sure to approach this interview with you on your podcast. I don't want to get something from you from doing this podcast. I just want to share my experience, strength, and hope and my story with you.
Amen. And I'm glad you said yes, for sure. Well, I want to be very respectful of your time because we've been doing this for an hour and I'm sure we could go even longer because it's fantastic stuff. You're a great guest, by the way, because you're not afraid to talk and share. So it's wonderful. What would be something that you would like to leave with the audience on, helping them continue to be resilient on their pathway to greatness?
Don't quit. No matter how hard it gets, don't quit. Lean on your mentors if you have them. If you do not have a mentor, especially as a man, find a mentor, lean on those mentors, call them, reach out, and believe in yourself that Jesus loves you. So you need to love yourself as much as Jesus loves you. That's the most important thing I think I would have to say, is love yourself like Jesus loves you.
That's beautiful, man. I appreciate it. And then remind the audience where they can find and follow you.
You can find me at Justin Milford 24 on Instagram, 10man24 on Facebook, and also just Justin Milford on Facebook.
Awesome. Well, Justin, hang tight for a little bit. I appreciate all the information that you shared today. I got a lot out of it. I feel like I could just go run a 10K with
That's awesome,
any
man.
question.
That.
I'm fired up, man. I love it. And I appreciate you so much in sharing this, and we'll have to do this again soon.
Absolutely, man. Looking forward to it. This is awesome.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Justin Milford.